Welcome to Fun Electronics. Today we're exploring an invisible world that surrounds us every single second of our lives. We're doing an explainer on the absolutely incredible, unseen realm of gas detection. It's a technology that bridges some pretty complex physical chemistry right down to the exact kind of DIY microcontrollers you've probably got sitting on your workbench right now. Get this. Under normal conditions, just 1 cubic centimeter of gas contains roughly 30 quintillion molecules. I mean, that is a massive number. They are swarming around at speeds of up to 1,000 meters per second, colliding billions of times a second. And you know what? Our human noses are totally unreliable at sensing danger at this microscopic scale. Sometimes, deadly gases have absolutely no smell whatsoever. Other times, like with hydrogen sulfide, well, they smell like rotten eggs at low, harmless levels, but they can completely paralyze your olfactory nerves at lethal concentrations. That means right when you're in the most danger, your body is literally tricking you into thinking everything is fine. So we obviously need a technological solution to monitor this invisible chaos. So here is our roadmap for today. 1. What are gas sensors? 2. How gas sensors work. 3. Real-world applications. And 4. Sensors and engineering projects. All right, let's jump right in. 1. What are gas sensors? The electronic nose. So what exactly is it? Well, a gas sensor acts as the ultimate electronic nose. It's a highly specialized electronic device designed to detect the presence and, crucially, the exact concentration of specific gases in the atmosphere. Because we can't see or reliably smell these airborne threats ourselves, the sensor's whole job is to take a physical or chemical interaction with a gas and translate it into a measurable electrical signal. For us, electronics enthusiasts, that usually translates to a distinct change in voltage or resistance. And that's something a microcontroller can easily read, process, and act upon. These little devices are absolute lifesavers. They essentially categorize invisible threats into 3 main buckets: X, OX, and TOX. Okay, so X stands for explosion risks. Think flammable gases like methane or propane building up in a room. OX is for oxygen. If inert gases displace oxygen below 17%, it becomes a really severe asphyxiation hazard. But on the flip side, if oxygen is enriched above 21%, ordinary materials suddenly become highly flammable. And finally, TOX represents toxic gases. These can poison humans in tiny, tiny parts per million concentrations. To put parts per million, or ppm, into perspective, imagine filling up a large bathtub all the way to the top and dropping in just 1 single drop of ink. That is exactly how wildly sensitive these sensors have to be to keep people safe from toxic exposure. Moving on to part 2. 2. How gas sensors work. Physics and chemistry. Let's crack open an electrochemical sensor and look under the hood. You can think of it as a tiny, highly specialized microreactor that operates almost like a battery. First up, the target gas diffuses naturally through a semi-permeable membrane. Once it gets inside, it hits an electrode and triggers a specific chemical reaction. That's either oxidation or reduction, just depending on the gas. This reaction literally forces electrons to flow, which generates a tiny, measurable electrical current. And here is the brilliant part. The amount of current generated is directly proportional to the gas concentration. So the sensor's circuitry just processes that proportional current and converts it into a highly precise parts per million output reading. Now, for flammable gases, engineers often use totally different methods. On the left here, we have pellistor, or catalytic bead sensors. These guys literally heat up to around 500 degrees Celsius and actively burn the flammable gas on a catalyzed surface. The heat from that tiny little oxidation reaction changes the electrical resistance in a wire coil, and that tells us how much gas is present. But on the right, we have infrared sensors. These don't burn anything at all. Instead, they shine infrared light right through a chamber. Different gases absorb specific wavelengths of light. Hydrocarbons, for instance, absorb at around 3.4 micrometers. The sensor just measures how much light is missing at the other end. And here's a really crucial takeaway. Pellistors actually require ambient oxygen to physically burn the gas. Infrared sensors do not require oxygen, which makes them the absolute perfect choice for monitoring explosive gases in oxygen-depleted environments, like a closed storage tank. Section 3. 3. Real-world applications. Industrial scale. Zooming out for a second, massive industrial facilities like oil refineries and chemical processing plants rely entirely on this technology to prevent a catastrophic loss of containment. In these intense environments, highly toxic gases like hydrogen sulfide or incredibly explosive hydrocarbon mixtures are being processed under immense pressure and heat 24/7. A leak here doesn't just mean some damaged equipment. We're talking about a catastrophic risk to human life and the environment. Gas sensors serve as the absolute first line of defense. This protection basically forms a massive, interconnected digital nervous system. Fixed sensors are out there operating continuously, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, year after year, enduring extreme temperatures, high humidity, you name it. They operate as a connected web across the entire plant, feeding real-time telemetry straight back to a central control room. If a leak happens, these sensors don't just sit there and sound an alarm. They actually trigger automated safety protocols to shut down valves and isolate systems before a human operator even knows there's an issue. They protect workers from toxic substances that have, as we mentioned earlier, incredibly poor physiological warning properties, ensuring action is taken long before human senses are ever triggered. All right, let's bring it back to the workbench. 4. Sensors in engineering projects. Build your own. What is just so exciting for us right now is the miniaturization of these sensors. It's largely driven by MEMS technology, micro-electromechanical systems. Engineers have actually figured out how to integrate tiny sensing elements, signal processing, and even microscopic platinum heaters onto single, tiny silicon chips. Think about those massive industrial sensors we just talked about, which can be the size of a shoebox and use a lot of power. By contrast, a modern MEMS gas sensor chip draws mere milliwatts. This massive reduction in size and power consumption makes lightning-fast response times possible, and it perfectly enables things like battery-powered wearable safety devices and IoT smart home monitors. For your own engineering projects, you have definitely seen these semiconductor and metal oxide modules, like the super popular MQ-2 or the Mike's 4514. When a target gas hits their heated semiconductor material, it directly changes the electrical resistance of the sensor. In electronics terms, this resistance change acts exactly like a basic analog voltage divider, which is exactly why an analog pin on an Arduino or an ESP32 can read it so easily. Because they come conveniently packaged onto breakout boards, they integrate seamlessly with your microcontrollers. Honestly, with just a few lines of code and some basic jumper wires, you can build your own custom smoke detectors, breathalyzers, or even smart home carbon monoxide alarms. It is that easy. So we've gone from the invisible chaos of 30 quintillion molecules bouncing around a cubic centimeter to massive industrial safety webs saving lives, all the way down to a microscopic silicon chip you can literally hold on the tip of your finger. This tech is incredibly accessible, it's powerful, and it's just waiting for your creativity. So the only question left to ask is, with sensors this small and powerful, what will you build next in your fun electronics journey? Thanks for hanging out for this explainer, and keep building.